Welcome to the Yes You May podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Mae Gray. Today, I want to talk to you about something a little bit different that correlates, of course, all about confidence, but I think really needs to be addressed. Something interesting happened to me yesterday. I went and helped film another keynote speaker so that he would have content for, all the places to make the shorts, to make the filming. And his keynote includes playing the piano, which is really cool. It's a lot of fun. He has ways to get the audience really interactive and make it this amazing experience. But the keynote was in the morning, and it was the second day of the conference. So it just felt like the audience was a little tired, wasn't fully energetic, wasn't interacting. And maybe that's the personality of this audience. That's a thing. But it was an interesting experience for me because when you're on stage, when you're speaking, you assume that the audience is going to react visually with noise, get involved, be interested, lean in. And this audience was a lot more reserved. And so to see somebody playing, Sweet Caroline and Piano Man and not getting the same type of interaction that you would see at a piano bar or at a karaoke time, or, anywhere there's live music playing. Even though he was doing a phenomenal job, he wasn't getting the same type of interaction from this more reserved audience. There's a lot of factors that could go into that, but it made me think about the fact that our expectations are often not met, and it is no fault of our own. Often we're putting out effort, we're doing work, and the world doesn't react the way we want, the way we anticipate. And that can really take a hit to our confidence, can really take a hit to our motivation. When in fact, at the end, he had glowing reviews. Multiple people came up and, praised him. All the people that filled out the survey loved it, thought it was valuable. But the visuals and during the time, he wasn't getting that interaction that both of us would expect. So what does that mean for you? It means there's going to be times where you're gonna put out your effort. You're gonna do your best. You're gonna really be amazing, and yet you're not going to be met instantaneously with the what's the word? With the approval, feedback, encouragement, and that's just part of reality. And it's a part of reality we often forget, glaze over, don't see, even though we know, right? We know that that's a thing, but when it happens to us, we question ourselves. Now, I know if that happened to me before, seeing it happen to somebody else, even though I know that's a thing, right? My mentors have warned me that your audiences won't always be super energetic and into what you're saying visually, audibly, but that doesn't mean it's not impactful. That doesn't mean it wasn't heard. What you're doing, what you put out in the world, the efforts that you put in, they matter. You might not get the response that you're looking for, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make a difference. I have this saying, who you inspire is beyond what you know. And it came along years and years ago. Growing up, I moved to Maine from Massachusetts, and I got a lot of bullying. They bullied me about my Boston accent, which I obviously do not subscribe to anymore. No, I worked very hard to stop having that so I would stop getting made fun of. And I had a hard time making friends. I came from a different school that was more advanced in some of the subjects, so, I was further along in certain subjects than my peers, and so I was bored, and so I was the know-it-all and, of course, then made fun of even more. And throughout middle school and high school, I was never the cool kid. I didn't have the friends. I didn't fit in to the predetermined mold of this small town place. And then after high school, years and years later, because of social media, I would have on multiple occasions, I can remember like 3 distinct occasions, where people would message me directly from that time period, from middle school and high school, and say things like, "I always looked up to you for, your fashion," or, "I was always impressed by you speaking out. I had a crush on you." That one was fun. I was like, "What? Really?" But I wasn't allowed to say it. I was never that cool kid, and yet, even though internally it felt like such a battle, I was still making an impact on the people around me even though they didn't declare it, even though they didn't let on, it was still there. So, in your life, when you're doing something and you really feel like you're putting out a great product, right? Like, you're really doing amazing effort. You're not always gonna get that recognition. You're not always going to get somebody telling you, "Good job. Keep going. You're doing great." And the irony is, you will have some people that will say it, but they won't be the people that it really impacts you the most by. Because like it or not, we place people into different buckets, right? We have the people that we look up to within our own industries, our own interests, and if those people say good job, that means more than a friend who has, maybe no idea what the work goes into it, or somebody that just is out of the blue, a complete stranger. I've had comments on posts on YouTube videos where somebody's like, "Oh, I love this. Keep doing it." And it meant a lot, but it didn't mean as much as somebody from my past or somebody that I look up to within the own industry saying it to me. And it should. I'm not proud of that. Anytime somebody takes the time to validate, acknowledge, recognize, encourage you, it should always be meaningful. But the reality is it isn't. And if you at least are aware of that and can be more mindful of it, and to realize that you're not gonna always get the wahoo, standing ovation, confetti following reaction that society has led us to believe is the only way that's worth doing something. If you've impacted and had a meaningful work that helps just one other person, really, that's all that matters. If so one person gets something out of me talking about this, if one person who probably will never even tell me feels good about this, then this was worth my time in doing so. My husband likes to say this is almost like my own therapy as well. And I think that might be true in a way. And a lot of times I just need to verbalize it to get it into my own head and to confirm for myself, as I often say, to give myself permission to continue to keep going. It was so important for me to see another speaker have an experience that turned out amazing, was a lot of effort and perfect, but didn't get that visual or auditory interaction. Because it's gonna happen. Maybe they are sleepy, or maybe that's just not their personality type. Maybe they're just a more reserved audience in general. And that's okay. If you're still giving your best, you're still putting out your amazing work, you're still being your amazing self that is shining and looking to uplift other people, then you're doing it right. You're doing it right. And oftentimes there'll be something that you'll do that might seem meaningless to you or menial, right? Like, but it will have a big impact, a much bigger impact than you realize on the other person. So when something doesn't get the reaction that you want, try to not let it discourage you. I know it's hard. It's really hard. But that doesn't mean you're not doing an amazing job and that your efforts weren't worth it. Because you are. If you have good intentions, if you're trying to treat other people the way you want to be treated, if you're trying to uplift instead of tear down, then what you're doing is great. Be a valuable member of society and keep being your amazing, awesome self. I promise somebody's noticing, even if it feels awful lonely. And when it does feel super lonely, my best advice is to find a group of people who are going after the same things you're going after. Community makes a difference. In our gym, we high five the entire class. And it is so uplifting, that release of dopamine, that acknowledgement, all being in it together. It pushes you to keep going and to keep coming back. You are amazing, just the way you are. I give you a high five. Congratulations. You are awesome. Maybe I can make the noise. Look, embrace people, acknowledge them more than you think to. Give people the encouragement that they need. We all need it more than ever. We're all deprived of this in person interaction and just seeing the negativity and the filters on the internet. Find ways to recognize people, compliment people, acknowledge people. That little word, that little moment will feel amazing for you. It'll be even better for the person who receives it. And the more that you put that out in the world, the more that you're bound to receive it as well. That is just the law. It's not my law, it's the universe law. Look, you're doing great. Your confidence should skyrocket. Just keep being you and know that somebody's catching on. And your path will lead you to bigger and better things. If this episode was useful for you, if this idea was useful for you, and you think it might be helpful for somebody else, please feel free, share, comment. What do you think? When have you had an experience like this that somebody's come back to you where you thought, wow, this isn't going the way I planned, and yet the results were still amazing? I'd love to hear in the comments what you think about it. Please, like I said, share it out to somebody that you think needs a little encouragement, needs some acknowledgement, and needs them to be told, you are doing amazing today. You've been doing amazing, and I'm so proud of where you are. I hope you have a healthy, happy, blessed day. Follow me, Amanda Mae Gray, on all the socials. Click subscribe if you haven't already. That really does mean the world to me. And like, comment, and I will see you on the next Yes You May with me, Amanda Mae Gray.